Hello! The curtain call for 2019 immensely benefited from strong positive momentum across the oil and gas industry while 2018 ended. It's still very potent, and maybe through the first quarter of 2019 and beyond, NNPC is justifying the life of this momentum to crash price of cooking gas. And from the local to the global, thumbs up for OPEC Secretary General. And it's easy to guess what for, but no guessing. Find out in the details, and details are plenty, is in the appraisal of the industry in 2018, which is also on the lineup. It's not only interesting and reminiscent, it's sumptuous. Welcome to the program. I'm Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
Dr. Maikanti Kachala Baru. It gives me great pleasure to have to present this symbol of accomplishment to him and to thank him for the work he's doing.
Now let's check the highlights. What goes up must come down. That's what NNPC is to do to the price of cooking gas. The strategy is via a commercial framework. Venezuelan president extols Bakindo's effective leadership. 2018 in retrospect, some of the memories are as fresh as yesterday, while others are a little bit in the distance, but here they are in this package. Back with the details. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) is set to implement effective commercial framework that will halt the export of propane and butane, which are major components in the production of liquefied petroleum gas (LPG), known as cooking gas. The corporation explained in a press release by its Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division Ndu Ramadu, that the move to stop the export of propane and butane, which is anchored by the Crude Oil Marketing Division of the corporation, would enable the corporation boost supply of LPG to the domestic market, thereby leading to a natural downward slide in the price of the product in the country.
What we're going to do is to make sure that we put the right commercial framework so that those exports are converted into domestic consumption, and by doing that we'll boost the domestic supply of butane into the market, and prices will come down. And also, as a country, we'll be proud that that energy part of it, that supply part of it, comes domestically.
Malam Kerry, who disclosed this at a strategy session, said the division was working in concert with stakeholders to create the enabling environment for in-country production of LPG and cessation of export of the country's equity butane and propane entitlements due to absence of in-country vessels for transport and other considerations. He further said that the goal of the division in 2019 is to complete the automation process in the marketing and sale of Nigerian crude oil grades, which teed off in 2017, noting that all hands must be on deck to achieve 100% end-to-end conclusion of the process.
Another year has turned full cycle in the annal of the Nigerian oil and gas industry, and indeed the world's. As usual, it has been a plethora of upbeats interpassed by occasional dips. In the outgone year, tremendous achievements were recorded in the efforts to boost oil and gas production and earn more foreign exchange, increase exploration activities in the inland basin, support power initiative to enhance industrialization, resuscitate the refineries to tame products imports, and build on gas infrastructure to support government initiatives on domestic gas utilization, to position NNPC as a transparent and accountable organization, and to ensure product supply stability across the country. The chasm during the year remained breaches of pipeline infrastructures. Globally, crude oil price volatility was an issue which affected budget performance. On balance, however, 2018 would go down as a year of great strides in the oil and gas industry locally and internationally. During the past year, NNPC continued its push to attract investment into the nation's upstream sector by executing Memoranda of Understanding (MOUs) alongside some privately owned companies to finance exploratory activities through alternative funding. The execution of the final contractual agreement on the MOU was executed in July last year. Under the agreement, global oil services giant Schlumberger would provide $724.14 million out of the required project cost of $1.082 billion, while the balance of $358.79 million is to be funded with cash flows generated by the project. In arriving at the innovative alternative funding package, the corporation was guided by the need to instill transparent and accountable processes. The corporation followed strict compliance with all extant laws, regulations, and established governance protocols, as well as overriding national interests and drive to achieve competitive market pricing for the Greenfield project.
The latest flagship is the first ENP-NNPC joint venture, where we had a technical funding agreement with Schlumberger that is $700 million. The three 2017 funding arrangements, when completed, are expected to increase combined production of oil by about 150,000 barrels per day, as well as 618 million standard cubic feet of gas per day.
During the year, a major milestone was recorded with the coming on board of the Egina Floating Production Storage Offloading (FPSO). Egina FPSO is expected to boost national oil production, and this enviable feat will add to the revenue streams of the federal government. The FPSO berthed the shores of Nigeria on 25th January 2018 at the newly built 500-meter FPSO integration quayside. Egina has by far the highest quantum of local content completed for any oil and gas project in Nigeria, thereby advancing Nigerian content to record levels.
We celebrate here today a clear demonstration of the growing efficacy of the Nigerian Content Act. On our part, NNPC is strongly committed to the successful implementation of all provisions of this act.
As part of the strategies to boost crude oil reserves, NNPC redoubled exploratory activities in inland basins northeast of the country, signing series of Memoranda of Understanding (MOUs) with some state governments in the region for that purpose. The state oil firm also emplaced strategies to end gas flaring in the country. The three-point strategy championed by the corporation to arrest the growth in the gas flares include ensuring non-submission of field development plans (FDPs) to the industry regulator, the Department of Petroleum Resources (DPR), without a viable and executable gas utilization plan, a move aimed at ensuring no new gas flare in current and future projects. In the outgone year, NNPC embarked on the most aggressive expansion of the gas infrastructure network, aimed at creating access to the market and boosting power generation. As part of efforts to ramp up power supply in the country, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) and its joint venture partner, Nigeria Ajib Oil Company Limited, pledged their commitment to implement the Okpai Phase 2 project to shore up the current power generation with 500 megawatts of power. The Okpai Phase 2 project was being fine-tuned to expeditiously bring it on stream, and it would increase power generation by between 10 to 12%. On the refinery revamp, the NNPC trained some Nigerians that would be fully engaged in the refinery's revamp, and tremendous amount of jobs and services that would be required would all be provided by Nigerians. With regard to NNPC's commitment to promoting efficient consumption of energy in the modes of biofuels during the year, the corporation signed several Memoranda of Understanding (MOUs) with different state governments and investors to actualize the introduction of more environmentally friendly fuel.
The proposed NNPC biofuels project in Kaba, Bulu, in Kogi State will be modeled to be an integrated feedstock plantation and process plants complex on land covering a total of 20,000 hectares for the sugarcane and 15,000 hectares for the cassava, with potentials for further expansion.
In the area of expansion of gas infrastructure, the recently sanctioned $2.8 billion, 614-kilometer Ajaokuta-Abuja-Kaduna-Kano AKK pipeline project is a demonstration of commitment to investing in local gas development. The Ajaokuta, Kaduna and Kano pipeline project, popularly referred to as AKK, is the largest gas pipeline project in Africa, and it is geared towards expanding the commercial gas corridor of the northern part of the country. The AKK, which is designed to be fully privately financed, is domesticated in line with the local content policy of the federal government, and Nigerians will do all the pre-commissioning and commissioning services of the project. In the midstream in 2018, Nigeria achieved an average national daily gas production of 7.90 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day, translating to 3% above the 2017 average daily production of 7.67 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day. Domestic gas supply capacity was marginally stable at about 1,700 million standard cubic feet of gas per day, with an average of 1.3 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day supplied to the domestic market due to power evacuation challenges caused by frequency management as a result of re-injection of allocated load by distribution companies, as well as transmission line constraints. The downstream sector of the oil industry recorded a lot of revamp of several depots across the country and rehabilitations of hitherto vandalized pipelines, which resulted to efficient supply and seamless distribution of petroleum products across the country. NNPC going forward also projects its downstream subsidiary, NNPC Retail Limited, to capture 30% market share of the retail business in Nigeria come 2020. Keeping faith with the company's pay-off line, we touch your lives in many positive ways. NNPC in 2018 held its flagship corporate social responsibility project to the admiration of many compatriots. The competition featured attendance of the high and mighty in the society, identifying with the NNPC cause. The event emphasized the review of the success of the endeavor 17 years on, with the verdict by dignitaries that the NNPC was on the right path. The 12 business focus areas indeed has delivered on its mandate, and it's still delivering on its gains as Nigerians from all walks of life for decades celebrated the festive season without a single queue of fuel across the 774 local government areas of the country in the outgone year. This is surely a feat that Nigerians would want sustained going forward. Similar sentiments were echoed by many residents of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, during the festive season, when the NNPC Group Managing Director, Dr. Maikanti Baru, undertook a city tour of fuel stations in the seat of government. Addressing the press during the tour, Dr. Baru explained the enormous challenge NNPC had to overcome to change the supply trajectory, saying much of the success could be attributed to the support NNPC received from President Muhammadu Buhari. It is disclosed that NNPC had 3 billion liters of premium motor spirit PMS, otherwise known as petrol, equivalent to 60 days sufficiency, adding that the stock would suffice through the election period, even if no fresh addition was made.
At the moment, we have 60 days supply in tank, about almost 3 billion liters of PMS that will last us, without bringing any extra drop of fuel, another 60 days. So we are seeing clear through the election period. We will have sufficient product.
The Assistant Commandant, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abdullahi Aminu, said Dr. Barrow's efforts at galvanizing all stakeholders in tackling industry issues and his determination at revamping the nation's downstream infrastructure was responsible for tackling the supply hiccups of last year, stressing that this has restored normalcy to the system. As the year drew to a close, NNPC reiterated its commitment to transparency and accountability, explaining to Nigerians that the monthly publication of its operations and financial report is among the measures to demonstrate the importance it adheres to probity.
NNPC is very open and transparent, and I'll tell you why. I challenge you anywhere in Nigeria, any government agency, not even government, any private entity that publishes its operation report, financial report on pages of newspaper, on the social media on a monthly basis. There's absolutely none.
The corporation seized the opportunity to clarify its position on the issue of the $1.05 billion expended on products importation for the benefit of all Nigerians, even as the leadership of the Senate exonerated the corporation of any corruption in the administration of the Products Support Fund.
Don't quote anybody out of context. And like I said earlier, we are not saying money is stolen. No money is stolen. We're only trying to clarify the processes of expenditure in line with the various extant laws.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the feedback segments of the program. My name is Julia Auta. 2018 was a very eventful year for all Nigerians. As we begin the new year, it is important to rate NNPC's performance in 2018 in the minds of Nigerians on the street to see where and how improvements can be made.
They have performed wonderfully well, to be candid. You see, it has been, it's almost becoming like a tradition in our nation that every end of the year we experience scarcity. Someone told me that 4 to 5 months before December that the NNPC have taken a proactive measure to make sure that there is availability of fuel during this festive period. And even despite that there are some disgruntled elements within the oil sector that actually wanted to frustrate this government to make sure that the fuel is not available. But you know, because of the efficiency and efficacy of the measure they have taken, you can see it. We all celebrated it. Honestly, it is a plus to Nigerian, to this government.
I will give them 99%. Because the queue that we normally queue before we get the fuel is no longer, it was not in the year 2018, especially during period of Christmas and New Year, comparing to the previous years apart of that 18.
Well, I think from my own experience, this is the first time in a long while that we have actually experienced a hinge-free celebration without fuel scarcity and increase in fuel price. I think it's 100% better than the previous years we have experienced.
Last year was okay. People travel despite the lot of increment in transportation and whatever. But the fuel was very, very available. The fuel was everywhere. I think this is the first time I'm seeing fuel during the Utah season. Pump attendant will be calling you, come inside and buy, come inside and buy. Fuel was everywhere. So personally, I can give them like 90 over 100.
Thank God. Now, any police station where you go, you buy the fuel, stuff like that, no wasting time. See, let me talk about the 2017, 2016, where fuel not there. But now, thank God, say anywhere you go, fuel there. So let me thank God for the NNPC as their good work they are doing. Anywhere you go, any police station you go, buy the fuel, no wasting time. That's what I'm saying now.
And NNPC, the tribe, because last 2 years, we KK and the Tazi we have been getting problem about fuel, but now this year, from 2018 to 19, we are buying fuel successfully, no queue, not everything. Our drivers no complain about balance or something like that. Nothing.
I travel from here to Imo, Enugu, Delta, and Rivers. So every filling station I enter was free. So I believe they tried. They have a pass mark on that end of the year.
As you can see, most respondents had positive views of NNPC's performance, and they will continue to strive to perform even better and exceed the expectations of all Nigerians. And that's the much time we'll allow on this segment. Please stay tuned for more on the program.
Hello! Good to have you join us on yet another factual segment of the program. I am Abigail Ojobo. Did you know that the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG Limited was incorporated as a limited liability company on May 17, 1989 to harness Nigeria's vast natural gas resources? Did you know that the NLNG produces liquefied natural gas and natural gas liquids for export and local consumption? Did you also know that the establishment of NLNG is backed by the NLNG Act? The company is owned by 4 shareholders, namely Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, with 49%, Shell with 25.6%, Total Nigeria Limited with 15%, and ENI with 10.4% share. Did you also know that it has wholly owned subsidiaries, Bonny Gas Transport BGT Limited and NLNG Ship Management Limited NSML? Did you know that NLNG's operations, among others, have reduced Nigeria's flaring profile from 65% to below 25%? Did you also know that NLNG supplies about 40% of the annual domestic LPG cooking gas consumption? Now you know. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Hello, welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices edged down Friday amid a lack of any clear resolution to US-China trade talks, and official data that again indicated vast fuel stocks in the United States. Brent crude futures were down 0.85% or 52 cents at $60.92 per barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures were at $51.89 per barrel, down 47 cents or 0.9% from their last settlement. Both benchmarks rose by around 5% the previous day, capping off a week-long climb that marked oil's longest sustained rise since last summer. Some of the positive feelings ebbed Thursday, however, a day after negotiations wrapped up with mildly positive statements from both sides, but few details. Meanwhile, U.S. bank Morgan Stanley cut its 2019 oil price forecast by more than 10% on Wednesday, pointing to a weakening economic growth expectations and rising oil supply, especially from the United States. The bank now expects Brent to average $61 a barrel this year, down from a previous estimate of $69, and U.S. crude to average $54 against a prior forecast of $60. The main source of new supply is the United States, where crude oil production remained at a record 11.7 million barrels per day in the week ended January 4, the Energy Information Administration said. The surge in U.S. production runs counter to efforts led by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, to cut supply and rein in an emerging glut. And that's it on this segment of the program. My name is Solomon Yopave.
It is a very excellent occasion, and they've done exceptionally well for the youth of this country, giving them good education and also the spirit of trying to get all young people from all parts of the country to know their country through this quiz effort, and they've made a success of it. And I would say certainly it is a credit to not only to them but also to the NNPC.
That's Oil and Gas Forum for this week. We hope you found the stories very interesting and reminiscent. Good memories 2018 and good prospects for 2019. On behalf of NNPC, have yourself a fulfilling week and a fulfilling year. Bye now.